Hello and welcome you all for the next video lecture on observational study designs for the categorical data. In this video lecture, we'll be discussing on the different study designs which are based on observations, and usually they carry categorical data. Okay. Now let's first look at what are the different data types. Data types could be a numerical data or a categorical data, which we call it as either quantitative data or qualitative data. Mainly two types. The numerical data could be either discrete or continuous. Continuous means they have the continuity in their information, and discrete means either like 0, 1, 2, 3, a fixed number in between that you don't have, like you are going to count it. Whereas continuous data, usually you are going to measure it, like a measure tape or a temperature. Then categorical data, there are mainly two types again. We call it as nominal data and ordinal data. Nominal data are the one, can you brand it? Nominal data are something like nomenclature, like for example gender, male or female, the color RGB, or a disease state, cured, whether it's cured or not, yes or no. It's equivalent to a dichotomous data. Ordinal data, you are going to rank it. So they are again kind of nominal data, but there is a specific way in which they are named. Whereas in gender, male and female, you can reorder, whereas in ordinal data, you have to consider them in a particular order. A, B, C, D is the ordinal data here. A is based on the score that above 90%, a range is created. So it is in a particular order in which these grades are created. You cannot rewrite the order like B, C, A, D or B, D, C, A, some other order you cannot rearrange. That's called as ordinal data. Likewise, blood glucose, low glucose to high glucose, you can rank it. So that's called as ordinal data. Now these categorical data, which are either nominal or ordinal data, they follow chi-square test. I mean, for the evaluation of that, we use binomial distribution methods or chi-square test methods. Usually they assume large sample size. So what we do is we make it a normal approximation of these, and we perform the analysis. There are certain cases when you do the experimental designs, you end up with a small sample size where they are either skewed to one end, or you may not be able to perform normal approximation. They may not fulfill the normal approximation criteria, so you may not be able to use chi-square test or binomial distributions. So that falls under something called as categorical data analysis, which we will be learning in further videos. Next coming up videos are mainly based on this categorical data analysis. Now which follow a contingency table data analysis. So if they do not follow large sample approximation, normal approximation, and they are very small in sample size, you will be using contingency table method. Now here in this video lecture, we are going to discuss on different types of observation study design that yield this small size, possibly, or even a large size also. Usually small size samples are available, for which we do the categorical data analysis. So we will be focusing only on these types of study designs. They are called as observational because you are going to observe the data, unlike interventional study designs. In interventional study designs, the researcher is going to identify the subject, and that researcher is going to assign to the control groups or different groups he is going to assign. It's completely planned. The interventional study design is completely planned, like RCT, randomized control trial, or Latin square design, or crossover designs, or factorial designs. So these are all intervention study designs where researcher has got a complete hold on the subject and their assignment and randomization. Whereas observational study designs, the researcher is just an observer. The event happens on itself, outcomes happen, and he is going to observe and tally the data. He is going to observe, measure the frequencies and tally the information. So he has no control over the subject assignments, but to certain extent he can allot, that's it. Likewise, there are three main types of the observational study designs: cross-sectional study designs, case control study, and cohort studies. So let us look into this in detail. In cohort studies, which is also known as prospective study, so look at the name, prospective study, so it's in a futuristic view. So it's also called as cohort study. It's a study in which a group of disease-free individuals, or I can say disease-free instead of event-free individuals. Disease one event is an event. individuals is identified at one point in a time and are followed over a period of time until some of them develop the disease. That means it's a time domain analysis. So let me analyze this one. So a group is considered. You are going to group them either based on its exposed or unexposed, maybe like a treatment group and a control group, maybe uh, placebo group for a drug case, a drug measurement, a drug effect measurement, or two different drugs you can take it. So the researcher assigns the group to one of the group. One is exposed, another is unexposed. Now these two are called as cohort. First cohort 1, exposed cohort, unexposed cohort. That's why the name cohort study. Then the researcher is going to follow up these two cohorts whether the event, here I have written it as disease, it could be an event, any event it is. So event whether it occurs or not for this group. For this group, second cohort, whether event occurs or not, is going to observe and record the data. So the first thing that happens is the researcher assigns the group or the cohorts to exposed and unexposed. So this is the starting point. Then he observes whether the disease occurs or not over the period of time. This time period may be 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, or some 10 years. So the time domain depends on the type of study that they are doing. Here relative risk RR, nothing but relative risk, OR, nothing but odds ratio, are both relevant. So both can be measured. Usually relative risk is the major one which we are going to analyze. These things we are going to learn in the future videos, coming up videos. Watch out for that. So in that we are going to measure relative risk and odds ratio for this kind of experiment. It is highly used in testing new treatment methods or drug dosages. Next one is the case control study. Case control study, the name is retrospective study. So in time domain, retro means reverse order. Prospective is the previous. Cohort study was the prospective study, forward direction. Case control study is in the reverse direction. So here there are two groups, one called as cases, another called as controls. Cases are the one who has the event. Controls are the one who has not the event, who has not undergone the event. Event present, event absent for the control. So this is the way it is measured. So it's in the reverse order in the time domain. So remember the event has already occurred in this case. Disease is present, disease is not present. So the black one is the case, the white one, the transparent one is the control. So the researcher assigns the entire population into two groups, cases and control. Now he will go back in the time period. He will measure whether this particular group has undergone an exposure or not. Similarly, the controls, whether they are exposed or not. So the question is on whether exposure has taken place or not. It is known that a particular group has the event and other group has not having any event. So it is with respect to reverse order of the time. So that's why the name retrospective. There is use of case as well as a control. That's why the name case control. Both are same, equivalent name. Next one is cross-sectional studies. It's also called as prevalence studies. Prevalence in the prevalent, present condition. Prevalence study or present condition. It's a study in which a population is ascertained at a single point of time. Here cohort studies or case control studies, what you've seen earlier, they are with respect to time. You are going to measure it over the time period, whereas cross-sectional study is done at a given point of time. So here all the participants in the study population are asked about their current disease status and their current or past exposure status. The researcher at the present condition is unaware of the exposure and unaware of the disease. So whether to start here or whether to start here is not the case. He takes up a subject and assigns to any one of these condition. So he'll ask the two questions, that is exposure is there and disease is there. Based on that the assignment will be taking place. So it is neither in the forward or in the backward direction, and this happens at a particular point of time in the study. So the prevalence study is prevalence of disease at one point compared between exposed and unexposed individuals. So it differs from what differs from prospective studies, that in prospective studies the exposure is important. We assign the exposed and then find out the disease. Whereas prevalence studies, we identify which is prevailing as at the present condition. Here odds ratio is more relevant. There is one more term called as prevalence ratio, PR, PR which is equivalent to relative risk. Whereas in case control studies, most important is odds ratio. So let us look at it in detail. So let's compare the three different studies on a time frame. So a cross-sectional study is done in the present condition. It doesn't look into the past, it doesn't look into the future. Whereas case control study, in the present you are doing the analysis based on something that has happened in the past. Whereas prospective cohort studies, you will be analyzing starting from now in the future direction. That means the result is in the future, starting is at the current position. Now that's how the name retrospective, prospective and prevalent. So in the cross-sectional study, you come across odds ratio and prevalence ratio. Case control study, you will come across only odds ratio. There is no relative risk in the case control studies. In the cohort studies, usually go for relative risk. You can measure odds ratio also, but it has no meaning. Relative risk is the more meaningful term here. In case control study, odds ratio is more meaningful. In cross-sectional study, prevalence ratio is more meaningful. Now let us assign it to a 2 by 2 contingency table, which we can use for the analysis of the categorical data. Either you take present, that is cross-section study, cohort study or case control study, you can end up with a contingency table. Let me take only 2 by 2 case. That is, there are two levels, there are two levels for the exposure, two levels for the disease, yes or no and yes or no, exposed or unexposed, disease present or absent. Now in the cross-sectional study, it starts from the middle here. The subject is asked the question whether you have the disease, will answer yes or no. Then exposure, whether he was exposed to a particular condition. For example, exposure means smoking or no smoking. For example, disease, a cancer present, cancer absent. That kind of question you can ask. So if he says disease yes and exposure, he had smoken earlier, so directly go to this is cell. Similarly, based on yes or no answers, he will be assigned to any one of the cell in the table, either A, B, C or D. Then case control study starts from here. So case control study is the retrospective design. There the groups are prepared or made based on the presence and absence of the event or the disease. So one group is prepared where they say yes, another group is no. Then the question is asked whether they have the exposure. Based on that, the disease or event plus group will be assigned to either yes or no for exposure. Event free group, no event group, they will be assigned to B or D group based on their answer yes or no. So it is in the vertical then horizontal. Whereas the prospective cohort study designs, that is prospective designs, this is in this forward direction, horizontal direction first. That is, you will be asking the question exposure yes or no. So you will be making two cohorts, cohort 1 and cohort 2. Cohort 1 is exposure yes, exposed group. Cohort 2 is exposure no, unexposed group. Then you will follow them over the time whether they end up with a disease or not. The cohort group, cohort yes group, exposed group, whether they undergo disease or they don't undergo the disease, whether they undergo the disease or not, that you will be identifying here. Then let's compare the three different things based on certain things. That is main antecedent, a starting point, whether the starting point is known to us. Cohort study, yes, we form the cohort based on whether they are exposed or unexposed. Whereas in cross-sectional design or case control design, we do not know whether they are exposed or not. Outcome, that is event, whether event has occurred or not. In cohort study, that is our event, that is our observation. We observe there and we measure it over the time. Whereas cross-sectional study also, we do not know. And case control study, that forms our basis. Based on their event state, we form the group. Then we identify whether they are exposed or not. So in the cohort study, it is in the forward direction. In the case control study, it is in the reverse direction. In the cross-sectional study, at the prevalent condition, you assign it to any one of the group. So that's the basis of the recruitment of the subject. Let me take some examples, three different examples for three cases. Cohort studies, this is one of the classical examples that's usually given. In 1951, commenced the British doctor study, a cohort that included both smokers, it's called as Smokers are called as exposed group, and a non-smokers group called as unexposed group. So the study went on even till today, 2001 up to that it has gone, I guess, in a 5 years period of time. Over the time, started in 51 up to 5 years. At the end of 5 years, they could gather certain amount of information. Remember, the experiment is not in the researcher's hand; they are observing it. As the case comes, they are adding up the information. So it's not in their control, not in the control of the researcher. So in 1956, the study provided convincing proof of the association of smoking with the incidence of lung cancer. So the lung cancer is the event. Whether the smokers had the lung cancer or not, unexposed group, non-smokers had the lung cancer or not, they gather the data. It is possible that unexposed group also can have the lung cancer, may be associated, may not be associated. So that is the based on analysis of categorical data. Based on the result of categorical analysis data, you can tell whether there is an association between smoking and lung cancer. So that's the cohort study. You can see that it is a forward in time direction, started with the two cohorts. Case control studies example. Lazovic et al. In 2010, they conducted a case control study to study the association between melanoma and tanning. Melanoma is the cancer event, tanning is the exposed or unexposed conditions. 1167 cases, individuals with invasive cutaneous melanoma were selected. These are the cases from Minnesota Cancer Surveillance System. Then 1101 controls were randomly selected based on driver's license list. They were matched for a particular condition. If I remember well, they were asked over the telephone. It was a telephonic interview between all these cases. So there were the case, there were the control. So this is the outcome. That is, event is present in this case, event is absent in this case. Then they were asked certain question based on the tanning conditions, which is hidden over here. They found that melanoma was higher in individuals who used UVB enhancers and primarily UVA emitting devices. So the risk of melanoma also increased with increase in years of use, hours of use, and sessions. So you can see that in this particular case, they started with the case and a control, then traced back their history related to the tanning or tanning creams and chemicals they used, anti-tanning chemicals they used. Then next example is on the cross-sectional studies. Now this is an example, latest example. A cross-sectional survey was conducted online for understanding skin injuries among medical staff fighting COVID-19 in China during February 8 to 22. This is the time period 2020 by Jiang et al. It's a published paper. This study demonstrated that prevalence of skin injuries among medical staff caused by PPE, personal protective equipment, fighting COVID-19 was higher. So injuries caused to the doctors who used PPE for the entire period of time, it was high. The skin injuries were very high. So this was a telephonic interview of a certain number of doctors. The question was asked at a stretch that whether they use PPE or not. So that forms the exposed and unexposed condition. Skin injury is the outcome, that's the event, whether it is present or not, to what extent. They have done a detailed study anyways. This forms a simple example for our cross-sectional studies. Yeah, that concludes the video. Thank you.